well, you can see I'm in the freezer itself. Here's some of the fish that you eat.
They deal in a way that legitimate fishermen can't compete with. Their costs are so much less than legitimate fishermen, and all of this is a very great concern to the world.
On the 20th of February 2002, the Canberra escorts the seized pirate ships into the naval base of Fremantle. The questioning of the crews begins, starting with the Russian captain, Alexander Vasilkov. What the Australians want to know is who is behind the pirates.
They seem to be an organised group being centrally funded and financed and directed, using operatives in the sense of masters and sailors who came either principally from the Russian Federation or from Spain.
The crew is placed under house arrest in a seaman's hostel, the Flying Angel Club. It's the 25th of February 2002. The Russian captain of the Volga is found unconscious in his room, as is one of the ship's engineers. An attempt to evade the questioning, or has someone tried to silence the two of them?
Upon investigation, what appeared to have happened was that the master and the engineer consumed some cleaning fluid. Now, whether they thought that it was vodka or something, it's never really come to light.
"19 days later, the Russian captain dies. Mark Zanker can learn nothing more from him about the network behind the pirates. Instead, he rings the Australian embassy in Moscow.
Oh, hello, Michael. Yes, it's Mark Zanker here from Attorney General's Department. Yeah, I'm ringing about my favourite topic, Volga.
He wants to find out who is behind the company that's officially registered as the owner in the ship's papers.
Moscow. And check out this address that we've got.
153, Dniprovsk with shores.
Olbers is the name of the firm. Its address is in the north of Moscow on a main highway. In Russia, there are a number of companies which procure dubious ships and send them out under the Russian flag. Regulations and international fishery agreements are not taken too seriously here. The embassy man is told to be careful and to put together a dossier about Olbers before making direct contact. The address takes him to a shabby high-rise. No smart, glossy office block here. Is this really where the people behind the pirate business are to be found? A few days later, an encoded document from the Moscow embassy reaches the Attorney General's office. It's for Mark Zanker. Olbers, it seems, is nothing but a phantom company.
Here's the information from the embassy in Moscow you're after.
Oh, thanks very much, mate. Good. Interesting.
At Sunhope headquarters, the Chinese bosses are discussing what they should do now. It's a tricky situation. Lena and Volga are beyond their reach, impounded. The ships are stranded in Fremantle, rusting away. On the open sea, they could be earning a lot of money. Sunhope wants them back. Via contacts in Moscow, they get the Russian government involved. The confiscated ships sail under the Russian flag after all. Russia's response is to take Australia to the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea. It's the 2nd of December 2002. Australia is being asked to release the Volga. The owners propose a bond of $250,000, a slap in the face for the Australian authorities. Mark Zanker prepares the defence case for Australia.
All rise. Veuillez-vous lever.
The public hearing begins in front of the court's 21 international judges.
The International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea is now in session.
An application was filed by the Russian Federation against Australia for the prompt release of the fishing vessel Volga and members of its crew.
New Zealand solicitors ran the case, and presumably they did so funded by the commercial interests that were operating this fleet. The Sunhope Investment Corporation, which may have been, and we considered to be a subsidiary of Pacific Andes.
Australia presents its evidence, the officers, the ships, a network of companies, and at the centre of it all, Sunhope in Jakarta.
Various companies who are involved in the illegal take of Patagonian toothfish are organised criminal cartels. No point in calling them anything else. That's what they are, organised criminal cartels with tentacles right throughout the world.
The judges recognise that this is a case of organised crime.
In his communication, the agent of the Russian
They decide not for Russia, but Australia. They quadruple the bond for the release of the Volga to nearly $1 million.
Article 73, paragraph 2 of UNCLOS, and thus, in our view, is not permissible or reasonable.
Sunhope has lost. The bosses write off the ships.
A full load of Patagonian toothfish in one of these vessels as cargo is generally worth much more than the vessel itself.
But Australia doesn't only have the ships, it also has the fishing masters, like Perez Lijo from the Volga.
So, Mr. Lijo.
They're to be brought to court and made to tell all.
What we had heard in the background is that the owners had been assuring the masters, who are generally, of various nationalities, but there are quite a few Spanish that we've apprehended. They had been informing these masters that they would do whatever it takes to make sure that Australia was disempowered in a legal sense, that they would take us to court, they would fight us through any forum they could to make sure that they would protect their captains.
How many course you sailed to get here?
Lijo knows the owners will get him out and refuses to answer questions.
A boat might be worth several $1 million, and if it's lost in terms of seized and destroyed. But the captains are hard to replace. They are expert in their fishing, they have a lot of knowledge, the captains and the fishing masters, I mean. They have a lot of knowledge, and without that expertise, you can't make millions of dollars out of illegal fishing.
In Perth, the trial begins of the Spanish fishing master Lijo and the crew. The charge, illegal fishing in Australian waters. Lijo is convicted, but he knows full well that Sunhope will pay the fine out of the petty cash. The court sets the fine at 30,000 Australian dollars.
They had nothing to fear from Australia, and because of so much money is involved in this illegal fishing, they would stop at no lengths to prove to Australia or prove to their captains that they had nothing to fear even from an entire country.
Australia has impounded 2 ships, 2 from dozens of others which are carrying on undeterred. The fishing masters